What's up, guys? We're here at AMC Town Square with Chasing Cinema.
Mr. James Hsu.com.
We're here for
Jordan
Peele's
dun dun dun
Us.
dun dun dun. Lupita Nyong'o. One of the greatest things that happened to Hollywood in recent years. We have Winston Duke
M'Baku
from Black Panther. We have two cast members in Black Panther. Now in Jordan Peele's new installment, his sophomore feature, Us. Let's go back, travel in time. Jordan Peele.
Get us.
Let's go even further. Let's go back to Comedy Central when Jordan Peele was wearing wigs and cracking jokes, which of course we all laughed. Were you a fan of the Key and Peele?
I never watched any of it.
And then Keanu came about, right?
Never watched it.
Not of all of Peele's work, but you never saw Keanu?
No.
Oh, it was okay. You weren't a fan.
So I missed nothing.
Then we have Get Out, a movie that literally shook up the movie world. Everyone went crazy over it.
I went crazy.
Everyone went crazy. It was such a well-received movie. People were like, Jordan Peele is the next filmmaker. And of course, all that hype that happens when you make a phenomenal first feature. I Love Get Out. It was my favorite movie of 2017. It was on your top 10?
Top 3, top 4, top 5,
yeah. I mean,
like
just
that movie was amazing.
Movie.
That movie was just like...
And of course, the question is, when you make that good of a first feature, how's your follow-up, right? They call it the sophomore slump because most directors will knock out the monster, right? Their passion project first, and then they go, well, what do I do now? And then they'll
try something.
Yeah. So will Us be a sophomore slump, or was it a knockout of the park? Mr. James Hsu, you saw Get Out, you didn't see Keanu, but how was Us?
Well, you gotta do yourself a favor, and you can't miss this movie. Lupita Nyong'o is the lead in this movie. Everyone knows that. And she is amazing.
Yeah.
She's just amazing. And the story, I'm not going to give, I'm sure that we'll do a spoiler
section, so you're good.
But in the last 5 minutes or so of the movie, there's a revelation or whatever you want to call it. And then all of a sudden, the movie's what, 2 hours?
Yeah, 155.
It's crazy how that last 5 minutes, maybe not even that, literally changes the movie.
Absolutely.
Like I'm enjoying the movie, and then that last, and then
yeah,
it just like this movie. I really don't have words. It like messes with you, and it's a good scary movie too. It's a good horror film,
yeah.
You know. And then there's this family of 4, M'Baku and Lupita Nyong'o. They're doing their thing with their family, and then they're on a boat, and they're and going on a little vacation on a beach.
Well, that was one of the cool things, was that the movie really followed the trailer. Like the trailer really only gave you the intro, and that's really what you do watch in sequence, which is very rare. They usually show you clips of everything, so that was kind of nice. You go to the beach, you do everything just like kind of the family does in the trailer. So it doesn't show you much in the trailer that you haven't seen.
Yeah, what a great movie. I mean, maybe you should talk, because I don't really know what to say, because I just really enjoyed the movie.
Okay, so for me, Get Out, I mean, the standard now, the bar is so high. I have to kind of reserve myself just a tad, but even with that notion, I am so excited. I think the trailer to this movie was phenomenal. The remix.
I wasn't excited about the trailer.
Really?
Yeah. Like I was excited because it's Jordan Peele.
Yeah.
But the trailer for some reason didn't do anything for me. I don't know why.
I deliberately avoided the trailer for Us for a long time because I felt that like I really enjoyed some of the beats in Get Out's trailer, and I was hoping maybe reserving it would reward me later. And I think it really would have I could imagine going into this movie blind. I think the experience is even more phenomenal. But I love that trailer. That remix of I've Got 5 on it, that score, let's talk about that alone. I mean, that song plays a major role in this movie. It's used multiple times, and I think it's so well done every single time. Obviously, that's a major emphasis here. And the score overall, I think... Peele is already getting so much love. They're comparing him to not only, they're not calling him the next great filmmaker only. They're not only doing that. They're not only calling him the next master of horror. There are people who are calling him the next Alfred Hitchcock. That's an NBA player almost being called the next Michael Jordan, the next, the next LeBron James, one of the top guys, the Mount Rushmore at least, right? I'm not going to say number one, but the Rushmore, they're calling him the next Alfred Hitchcock. And to me, after this film, I think that's not a reach. because the one thing I've gotten out of both Get Out and Us is that there is no mistakes when it comes to his filmmaking. And I don't mean errors or continuity. I mean that everything is very deliberate in his filmmaking. You all right?
My eyes is killing me.
You need to sleep. The film, the mise en scène, like how everything is just set up, the blocking of everything is just so calculated. And it just all works so well together, and I think that it really, really takes someone who is very, very comfortable behind the camera in all these different aspects of filmmaking to really just execute on that level that he's at for his second movie. It's really insane. But of course, things happen. Everyone said the same thing about M. Night, like you had said. Someone had called him the next M. Night. It's very popular, but hopefully that's not the case here. And Jordan Peele
just keeps on doing what he's
making
doing,
hits and really does change the game. No, I love this movie. I think, and this is actually my second viewing. I got to see it twice, and I will say that in most movies, when there are revelations at the end or twists, if you will, that usually it changes it to a degree, and it's usually kind of more of a shock factor. Watching this movie twice over, I'm telling you, it changes the entire movie for a viewer, and you watch it with a really new, different perspective. Like, I want to use an example. So, like in some movies, the twist will be who's the killer, etc., right? And then once you find out, you're like, okay, that makes sense, and they could kind of add in pieces here. Here, once you're revealed to what it is, the next time you watch the movie, which I'm not sure if many of you will do, but I'm telling you it's quite rewarding, you get to watch it from a whole new perspective, and it makes it so much more enjoyable. And I'm not saying you have to see it twice for it to be good. It's great the first time around, but it's a fun movie to really go back and revisit. To again bring up M. Night Shyamalan, so many people loved going back to rewatch The Sixth Sense to see if it kept
if it
true,
made sense.
if it kept true. Yeah. Lupita Nyong'o, I mean, is just unbelievable. I honestly forget, even though there's two of them on the screen multiple times, that she has to play both roles because she just seems so far out
She went bonkers.
as the antagonist in this movie. It's just so crazy, and it's so it almost feels like it's not really her. And I think that really speaks to them, all of them, everyone being able to kind of play a double and really lose that innocence, because almost immediately you fall in love with this family. They're fun to be around. Winston Duke is hilarious, and he keeps this heartbeat and kind of keeps the comedy going in this movie. Not as funny as Get Out. I don't think it has as many on the nose like jokes and things like that, but for sure some funny and some subtle kind of dark humor in this one, and I think he deserves some credit for. I thought it was creepy. I think it's one of the most creepy movies I've seen in a long time. I don't think they do a lot of like jump scares, which I know annoy some people, me included. I'd rather get that scare, honestly, and I think there's a lot of creepy
come from Blumhouse.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
this is out of Blumhouse,
and there are some jump scares. Don't get me wrong, but there is a lot of just cerebral kind of like psyching you out fear, and I think that's what's really cool. We talked about it, I think, on camera a week ago, maybe 2 weeks. Jordan Peele has his name, and the rebringing, the recoming of Twilight Zone. This movie feels like an homage to Twilight Zone, and I think that might be one thing that might disconnect audiences. I don't know what the rating is right now.
It's like 98.
98 critically. But on a general scale, that number isn't that high. And I think it's because a lot of people are going to want to see Get Out in that on-the-nose social commentary, that on-the-nose humor that they're not going to get here. Yeah, so it's rotten right now on a general audience basis. Hopefully that changes. It's still really early for them.
But I'm curious if that's even real and it's not just
the haters.
Yeah,
and it very well could be.
I can't even trust honestly what the
aren't they like weren't they like ditching?
They're trying to do stuff, but the thing is like.
It's irrelevant. I'm just saying.
Captain Marvel on the first day had more negative. They had 50,000 negative reviews on the first day, more than Infinity War's positive.
Oh wow, that's crazy. Yeah,
that's why they're doing this now.
Yeah,
you can't even.
Yeah. But anyway, so I think direction, I think score is phenomenal. I think Lupita and the performances are great. I think it's genuinely creepy and scary. And like I said, it's an homage to Twilight Zone. It's an homage to the weird. I think for people who enjoyed Get Out and kind of enjoyed how weird it gets towards the end and when things are revealed in that movie, I think you get a lot more of that kind of weird, interesting reality that we have to accept and kind of go into in this movie. I just think it's really smart, and while I don't think it's as blatantly tackling such a incredibly, controversial topic like race as heavy as Get Out did. I mean, it does address race for sure. It also addresses just kind of us in general. And when I say us, obviously this is the title of the movie, and obviously referencing the villains of this movie, the bad people. And it's kind of interesting having to say the villains in the movie are the us, right? And I think that's kind of my really big takeaway from this movie, is that it's not going to be a zombie apocalypse. It's not going to be alien invasion. At the end of the day, the downfall of us will be us. We are going to be the downfall of who we are and humanity. Even further, you could take it as, I know a lot of people right off the bat, you get that you're your own worst enemy, which is definitely there. I think the movie looks at the importance of family and household. I think the movie looks at the loss of, or the negligence of a father, or the kind of the loss of the father figure in the home. Jordan really does, Jordan Peele really does look at a lot of different elements in this movie in a way more subtle way than he does in Get Out, but they are there. The ideas about race, about family, about the home that we grew up. I mean, all these ideas are really in here. And at the same time, it manages to be this kind of wacky, not all puzzle pieces fit together, weird movie. And it feels like a Twilight Zone in the sense that we just have to accept the situation we're in. And I think he manages to throw humor in there, some real heart, and manages to create a solid film for sure. Easily, probably my favorite of the year. So, that says a lot. And hopefully, we'll see some other really great movies. I hope that there are a ton, and I have to fight to choose between them. But I'm interested to see if this will stay on the list this year.
Yeah.
Anything else that you wanted to piggyback off of?
I don't think so. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's a really
awesome.
It's a really cool movie it's one of those really rewarding ones. The more you think about, the more you could reward yourself with how you could put things together.
Yeah, it's fun because we'll go into a little bit of spoiler.
Oh, you want? Yeah. So I guess if you've not seen this movie and you're watching this review and you don't want to see spoilers, then do not continue. But you could come back when you have, or if you have, or you don't care, then watch on. We are in spoilers.
So at the ending, it's revealed that we should figure out how we're going to word all this, because we're going to start confusing ourselves. Yeah, I don't even know how to. We'll just say the good one.
Okay.
The good one is the one that's above, I guess.
Okay. Yes.
And then the bad one is the
one down below.
Yeah. So it's revealed that Lupita at the very beginning runs into her mirror.
Yes.
And she's like, "Oh my gosh!" And then that's the end of it. But it's revealed at the end that they actually freaking got switched.
Yes. That the one from under kidnapped.
We'll say under and above.
The
under one is now above the entire movie.
Yes. Kidnapped above Lupita, chained her up, and then went and took the above Lupita's place. Which is revealed in the movie, and then really does change the entire way that you watch the movie.
Yeah, it does.
So like, I mean, I'm curious because like, you took it in the very beginning of this movie that Lupita Nyong'o feels like there's a black cloud over her, feels like someone is coming to get her. Mm-hmm. And initially watching this, you're assuming it is that bad twin, right?
Yes.
It's not twin, but the bad egg, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now you watch this movie and you realize this is a person who did something really wrong, has an incredible amount of guilt, and has been living with this all her life, and is not afraid to go to this beach because she's afraid of something coming to hurt her. Well, I mean, they are, but not to come and like take her away like we imagine. She is afraid that she is going to meet the person that she threw locked up many years ago in 1986. And to me, that just makes the movie so much more fun looking at that angle, because her actions all do make sense going forward. I mean, it works in both ways. But to me, that's an example of like when you would go back, you would never even think about that after you've seen the twist. But watching it, then you're like, well, why is she afraid? And then you go, okay, because she knows what she did, and she knows this is coming.
Yeah,
and obviously, there are a lot of different hints that are mentioned in this movie.
Were there any other than the two that the son saw? Were there more?
Other than
the son's signs that you were saying?
Oh, what do you mean?
Or is that not what you're saying?
No. I just mean like little things in the movie, like performance choices and things, and obviously, Oh, the two from the mom, you're saying?
I thought that's what you were saying.
Okay, yeah. So what she was talking about is there are two instances in the movie when Lupita actually kind of
goes back,
goes
to that
in the midst of bloodshed. First the twin from the other
daughter.
family, and then herself. She goes back to the clicking and makes those noises, and just that kind of bloodshed and that
the language
the
of
violence
those people.
brings her back to that kind of instinct that she has, or those people seem to have, because they never really are learned the language, or they never experience all of that. So I mean, to me, there's a lot of just really cool things you could kind of take away from that, and going back and watching it gives you that whole new perspective, and watching that instance when it's revealed, it all kind of makes sense that no matter, even though she's finally gotten rid of this threat, it's not really the threat she was afraid of. I mean, she still has to live with this, and now she's going to continue to live with this guilt, which makes her this, initially you think, well, what a bad person, like, why would you do that to this girl? But at the same time, you completely understand. You know, she was in a miserable situation and needed survival, so she did what she had to do, and it makes Lupita's character even more deep, that she had to kind of not only play both of these roles, but then you have to kind of really calculate what our above, or who becomes our above Lupita, is going through, and emotionally, and like what is happening. That she goes lives a life and above, and begins to learn empathy and sympathy, and develops this guilt about all of these things that she's done, and it's like, oh my god, like there's so much here. And I think that it might not all click on the first viewing. I think it's definitely a movie that needs a second viewing, not because it needs to improve, but because it just gives you so much more to digest.
It's probably irrelevant, but what happens now? Because
I would really take it as like it really kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's irrelevant.
Because like and going back to the Twilight Zone thing, a lot of those instances are those episodes end with like a reveal
like that,
and it's like, oh, we're stuck here in this world now, and that's what it is, and that's why I very much took that. I think that if anyone didn't think Jordan Peele can bring back Twilight Zone, and after you watch this, you won't have a single doubt.
Can you imagine we get 30 episodes like that?
Oh my god!
In 30-minute forms, or whatever.
I mean, it would be unreal. So yeah, I think for me, like I said, the big takeaway was just kind of really delving in on that idea that we are the enemy, us is the enemy, ourselves are, obviously, which isn't too hard to find. But I think there's also this really other great theme towards the end about kind of that we live in our own masks that we create. At the end, Lupita Nyong'o thinks about, and through thought communicates to the audience what happened in their childhood, and that when she reveals that she was the one from below, and then she looks at her son, and her son looks and has this look that alludes to us that he gets that she's not the original. Mom. Yeah, he's mom. Or she's mom, but it's not the above. She wasn't, she was switched. And her son drops his Chewbacca mask and, kind of hides away. And I think then it goes back to Lupita kind of illustrating that Lupita's wearing a mask, but it just so happens to be her face. And I think that's a very nice little wink, just kind of to top things off. And obviously it looks at the idea of the image we create ourselves, and, how we go through our lives, and, some of our lives we live as mindless, just zombies following the flow and doing the things we're supposed to. And then there's the part of us that is the fighter, is the survivor, and the one that has ambitions, desires, and goals. It's really cool to think about it that way, too. That we all have to deal with this, because it's revealed in the movie that the tethered are two bodies but that share a soul. So, I mean, again, it's kind of like that duality that's just a part of all of us. We have that good side, that bad side, the ambitious side, the lazy, the following, and that's just, that alone is a really cool way to look at the movie, let alone the other 50 layers you pull from it. So.
And off camera too, you're mentioning how the original Lupita, over 20 years,
the above, yeah,
the above one, now down, was able to take a coalition, if you will, and get all these people to be like, okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna hold each other's hands, and we're all gonna march up there, and we're gonna freaking announce to the world we exist.
I think for me, it's not even so much about that. She obviously admits that it's like she wants the world to know about this, but this way I was I was talking with some people about the movie, and they were kind of confused why she decided to make them all do that. Like they get the idea that, of course, this is why, like, it's because it was on the shirt, because of the commercial, but why make them do that? And I thought, like, well, for her, the only thing that she had left from that world was that shirt she had on. It's very subtle, but the two that switch have two different items of clothing on. One has a plain yellow shirt and a black shirt that looks like a Thriller shirt. The other one has the yellow Hold Your Hands Against America shirt and the Thriller shirt. The original Lupita, under Lupita, steals the Thriller shirt but leaves her with the Hands Across America shirt. So the only thing that she knows of her past, of her old world, if you will,
20 years looking at the same
she
shirt.
hangs on her wall, and it literally becomes her cross. Like, it becomes, the sign of the cross. And, what happens when hell breaks loose? You have the protesters with the crosses, and, like, that is our symbol of hope and all of our thing, and this is the symbol that we've all prayed to. And in her world, the only thing she had wasn't a cross, because obviously no one it was only that shirt and that image of those hands connected. So to her, she was really just bringing up the cross and saying, like, this is who we are. And I think that is another really cool thing to kind of dive into about just, like, how we're connected to these things and how we see images of hope. It doesn't need to be a cross. It doesn't need to be anything specific. It's just anything that does
whatever you
feed
see
that hope.
value or some type of, like,
yeah,
earnest to. I don't know how to explain that. Yeah.
No. So that kind of got me too. Like, it was the one thing that held her connected. And then we were talking about, again, her, the way that she spoke. She obviously was the only one that seemed to have learned a language. She learned English.
Yeah.
And we were talking that we assumed that she was able to hold on to that ability, but her vocal cords rather crushed, or the lack of interaction and use of English made her.
Yeah, because that's what I thought it was. But then
initially I did too, but now that makes
Ken
sense.
Said the strangling.
Yeah, no, I agree. So,
but that's kind of irrelevant, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the biggest thing, but again, it's just like little things for you to think about and able to put together later. Because it's a weird thing that she just kind of grabs her throat and then it happens so quickly. So it makes sense that she forcefully could have injured something, and hence why she doesn't scream or yell at her as she's leaving and she's handcuffed to the bed. Oh, and that to me was the thing I got second time round that I thought was the coolest thing. I want to call her bottom, under Lupita, handcuffs above Lupita to the bed, with the same chains that she'll one day hook her up to.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, that's never explicitly said, but if you look at them, they're the same. And she holds on to them, not with a key in her pocket, not recklessly, around her neck, because she knows one day she's going to chain her up and get her revenge.
Oh.
And to me, like that, the idea that this person woke up, because I laughed watching this movie again, because it becomes a revenge story. It becomes almost like Kill Bill, that this girl has literally had to.
There was signs of Kill Bill.
Yes,
when
there was.
She's walking down the escalator with the thingy,
with the sword,
I was
and
like,
just
dude, that's Kill Bill.
Yeah, and this is a revenge story in so many ways about a girl who was taken from her family and her life and had to train in the depths and use these people as her army to go back and exact revenge. And if we learned anything about revenge in Quentin Tarantino movies, revenge is messy and bloody, and literally this movie is the equivalent of that. And that's also really cool. The idea of we have to fight our demons from the past, and we have to kind of face those head on sometimes. And that's, again, there's just so much here, and I don't think you get enough of it.
The handcuff thing. That's awesome.
Yeah, and like I said, it could have just been a coincidence. That's how all the handcuffs in that world exist. But for sure, that's definitely
like you said, nothing's on accident.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that's the kind of thing that makes Jordan Peele that much of a filmmaker, and just makes him at that level. So, yeah, wow.
Love it. Watch it.
Done. Next week, no more of the harsh and violent and crazy things that we saw here. We're gonna get a little bit of love and some cute animals.
Hopefully, feel really good.
Dumbo. Have you seen Dumbo?
No.
Okay. So
the animated, right?
Yeah.
No.
Do you know what happens in Dumbo? Like,
no.
Okay, so you're going in completely, basically blind. You just know the flying elephant.
Yeah.
Cool. I watched Dumbo. I remember not being too big on it, obviously, the first time I saw it, because I was a kid and it was old. I went back and rewatched Dumbo. I think there's a lot of good things about it, but it's not a movie that I love. And I think, obviously, it's just I didn't grow up with it. But Michael Keaton, Danny DeVito in a Tim Burton movie? You got me. You didn't even need to put the elephant in there. You know, you have me on having Penguin and Batman.
I mean, we have Batman Returns.
Yeah,
back
exactly.
again.
So I'm just waiting for at the end Batman to come out and save Dumbo from all. You know, I'm hoping it'll be good. I'm waiting for the Disney movie to turn me and convince me that live action and remakes are the way to go.
We get 3 remakes this year.
3 remakes. This Aladdin.
Not spread over 3 years. 3 in a year.
So even if Dumbo's really good, chances are it still won't be as good as the Aladdin remake or Lion King remake. So to be honest, it probably wasn't. I mean, I guess people will like it and you get them on the train, but you should have spread them out maybe a little bit more.
Well, maybe they just said, hey, we can
Well,
make
they're just like, we're going to literally make 3 a year and we'll have them for the next 20 years still. There's so many movies to remake. What would you want remade?
I would love to see Tarzan.
Tarzan, yeah.
By Disney. I would love to see that. I would love to see Pocahontas for show. I would love to see...
Pocahontas would be awesome.
I would love to see Pocahontas.
My fiance would love to see a live action Mulan, which
Oh,
obviously
no, they are.
Yeah.
That's done for me.
That was like her favorite, so she's really pumped for that.
That's ready for next year.
Yeah.
You know what's so depressing though? It's not musical.
Yeah.
None of the music.
None of the music.
Yeah, they're turning this into like hardcore. It's filmed in China, epic, all Chinese stars.
Which is cool though. It's a good way to do it. You know, you
But
shouldn't.
I need reflection,
Yeah, reflection
bro.
is tough to beat.
I'll make a man out of you.
But I will say, like, out of everything out of Mulan, of course, I'll make a man out of you. But like, that's the one song. I can't name more than those 2 songs. So I think you could throw them in there subtly and like good enough where you could put them in there, but not make like the character sing it. And I think it'd be still fun. But I get you. Hunchback, I want obviously.
Yeah,
which
and they've announced
talked
they're putting that together.
So anyway, join us next year at AMC.
101 Dalmatians they're working on.
Oh, they already did that too.
No, a new one.
Yeah, that's cool. Did you ever see the first one?
With
Glenn
Close?
Glenn Close and Cruella DeVille. Anyway, join us here next week. Make sure to go watch Us this weekend, and then if you're really, really into it, go watch it again, because trust me, that second viewing, you're just gonna be like, oh, this is a totally different experience. Great. I mean, it is just, it's so awesome that, like, you know, I just think about maybe in 30, like, especially, you know what it is, the opening credits. So not the intro that we get of everything that, like, the fair and all that. It's that shot that pulls out from the rabbits and just has the credits. I feel like that scene is going to be watched in classrooms, in like film schools 20, 30 years from now. I really think this movie is going to be talked about and hailed for a long, long time.
Why the rabbit scene?
Just because to me it feels... To me,
I actually didn't like that part.
Well, here,
I don't like credits.
And here's why I do. Because it's classic. So it's a very classic cinema. So to me, I think about all those scenes when I'm like sitting in, when I've sat in classrooms or in film festivals, and they have that classic intro with the word, and it's just something simple. It's nothing crazy. Roma did it too, you know, just kind of this long-standing. And to me, it wasn't that. It was just that scene that made me think of the movies that I watched, and just. I think there's so much here that it'll be really interesting to see kids in the future watching this movie, you know, and this and Get Out. I could for sure just see like a clasping on Jordan Peele movies if everything continues on this route. But if not, I think Get Out and Us will be still cherished for many years to come, for sure. If there's a Criterion new, you know, VR format in 20 years, it'll be on there. I can tell you. So that's awesome.
Love it. ChasingCinema.com is known as
the Film Lovers website.